Good day, everyone. My name is GyreneF BSN2 major in Social Studies. Money is a liquid asset used in the settlement of transaction. The main function of money are distinguished as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, a store of value, and occasionally a standard of deferred payment. So what is the relationship of money to what I am saying? Today, I am going to tackle about money supply and demand for money. Money supply, also known as the money stock, refers to the currency and other liquid instruments circulating in the country's economy on the date measured. It includes both cash and deposits. If we are talking about cash, it is the coins and the paper bills that we are using every day. If we are talking about deposits, it is the checking accounts that we are actually using in the banks. Economists analyze the money supply and develop policies revolving around it through controlling interest rates and increasing or decreasing the amount of money flowing in the economy. The indicator represents the broad money that include currency outside banks, demand time, saving, and foreign currency deposits of resident sectors other than the central government, bank and travelers checked, and other securities such as certificates of deposit and commercial paper. Public and private sector analysis is also performed because the money supply's possible impacts on price level, inflation, and the business cycle. The Central Bank of the Philippines is the most important deciding factor in the money supply. So, what are the effects of money supply in the economy? An increase in the supply of money typically lowers interest rates, which in return generates more investment and puts more money in the hands of consumers, thereby stimulating spending. The business respond by ordering more raw materials and increasing production. The increased business activity raises the demand for labor. The opposite can occur if the money supply falls or when its growth rate declines. Measuring the money supply, while most people think that money supply is one big pile of cash in the economy, economists look at it very specifically. We can define the money supply in three different ways: the M1, M2, and M3. So if we will talk M1, M1 is the narrowest definition of money. M1 consists of coins and currency in circulation, checking accounts, and travelers' checks. M2 is a more broad definition of money than M1. M2 equals M1 plus small saving accounts, money market funds, and small time deposits. M3 is even more broad and includes M2 plus large time deposits, large money market funds, and purchase agreements, which are financial instruments generally used by large businesses and institutions. Since 2006, the Central Bank of the Philippines stopped using M3, so now we have M1 and M2. Money supply data is collected, recorded, and published periodically, typically by the country's government or the Central Bank of the Philippines. And the Central Bank of the Philippines measures and publishes the total amount of M1 and M2 money supplies on a weekly and monthly basis. They can be found online and are also published in newspapers. And now I am going to tackle to you the demand of money. The demand for money refers to how much assets individuals wish to hold in the form of money, or as opposed to illiquid physical assets. It is sometimes referred to as liquidity preference, or the demand for money is related to income interest rates and whether preferred to hold cash or the money or liquid assets like money. So there are actually types of demand for money. So first type is the transaction for or the transaction demand for money. The money we need to purchase goods and services in day-to-day life. So that is transaction demand for money. Next is the precautionary demand for money. It is the money that we may need for unexpected purchases or emergencies. And next is the asset motive or the speculative demand. The asset motive states that people demand money as a way to hold wealth. This may occur during the periods of deflation or periods where investors expect bonds to fall in value. So, how stable is demand for money? So, first is the stability of demand for money is due to technological changes. For example, debit cards make holding cash less important. Easy access to current accounts can enable people to hold less cash. Next is the availability of credit. So if credit is more available, precautionary demand for money will fall as individuals feel they can or feel they can borrow if they meet short-term difficulties. Next is the irrational behavior of asset prices. Markets can enter boom and bust driven by psychological factors such as over exuberance. In these bubble periods, demand for assets will rise and demand for holding money will fail. So we just have to remember that anytime the gross domestic products rises, there will be a demand for money to make the transactions. So it is also necessary to buy the extra GDP. If GDP fails, then people demand less for money transactions. And the interest one gives up is the opportunity cost of holding money. And as interest rates rise or fall, the demand for money will also fall and rise. That would be my report for today. Thank you so much, and you do have a good day.